Live.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be across the nation and around the world. Once again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 608. My name is Eric Nilsson, and I have no co-host today because, again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 608. My name is Eric Nilsson, and I have no co-host today because, again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast.
Myself? We've got a loop.
608. My name is Eric Nilsson, and I have no co-host today because, again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast.
Myself? We've got a loop.
608. My name is Eric Nilsson, and I have no co-host today because, again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast.
Myself?
Julia, are you hearing this loop? My name is Eric Nilsson.
Yes, I hear that.
Because, again, you're listening.
Me too. Yeah.
All right, hearing myself. Julia, are you hearing this loop? My name is Eric Nilsson.
Yes, I hear that.
I found it. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. We had an audio. Yes, we are 608 podcasts today alone. So welcome to the show. Today, again, is Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. And again, I don't have a guest because Matt Longus is on the road meeting customers, and Corey Romero is somewhere still down in I forget which city's in riding his motorcycle. He'll be back next week off vacation, and I'm going camping this summer, so I'm very happy this weekend. We're going to go look at the stars universe, and let's get on with the show. So today on the show, we're going to be talking to Luciano Patrao, and I know that's wrong, so he'll tell me how to say it. He is a solution architect and lead consulting with Infosys. He's on a big Infosys project, and we're here today on the show to talk about vSphere and all things cool about vSphere. But before we do that, and we'll talk a little bit about Broadcom and vSphere and where we think it's going to go. I'll give you some insight to that, and I'm just happy to have Lucio on the show. But before we do that, let's just hit the news for a second. So VMware Explore, again, August 29th through September 1st. Europe, November 7th through the 10th. Registration is open. Content calendar opens June 28th. So it's coming up. We've been getting all the sessions in. Schedule Builder is July 19th. And I can say that people are registering. I know we have over 1,000 plus people registered for the show already, and we're on track for the growth, the targets that we should see for the show. I think they're targeting 12,000 people at the U.S. show, and I don't know what the Europe show targets are. And I know that we're registering, so go register if you're going to come to the U.S. or Europe. And the content calendar's out for session speakers. I know session speakers have been notified, or at least some have. They're doing it kind of slow rolling out, so you haven't gotten notified yet. Doesn't mean that you might not get notified, so it's not complete yet. I think sometime next week they should have all the session notifications out. V Brown Bag has registered. I think they've got 40 sessions. I did get to view the booth for the community booth at US. It looks great. 2 big theaters, nice entryway. I think 4 or 5 blogger tables, so nice blogger table. And I know that Josh Millenthal on our team will be there, and we're going to have a sticker wall. So if you're a blogger and you've got some branded stickers, we're going to be running, I think, on the Monday before the event opens on Tuesday, but the hang space and community areas will be open, and the hands-on labs will be open on that Monday. We're going to have a sticker board where you can come put your stickers, and people can exchange stickers and come engage with everybody in the community booth, the blogger tables on that Monday. We might do a blogger meetup on that Monday and do kind of a sticker exchange. So if you've never used Sticker Mule, you can go to Sticker Mule and get stickers for 50 cents a sticker, whatever. Go get your brand out there. We're going to have a sticker exchange, and it should be fun. So we're looking forward to that. We have code sessions. We are doing a couple code labs. They will be based on Nooks. So we're going to have a VMware code, build your own Nook or set up your Nook and get it installed for your home lab at home. And we'll be installing Nutanix, Kubernetes, Tanzu on the Nook. So it'll be running, and we'll have then a Tanzu lab as well. So, and then we will have some sensors there so that you can do some sensor programming. It's not going to be on Raspberry Pis this year. Raspberry Pis are actually expensive. You can't get a hold of them because of the pandemic. They're not building enough of them. And if you want to get a Raspberry Pi 4, it costs like $150. You can actually get a Nook for about $150 with no memory, no storage. So we'll be having Intel Nooks there because Tanzu runs on Intel. So we're going to be doing those labs there. But we do have some devices that allow you to write code for sensors. So we will have some sensors there, and we'll have some fun with sensor labs. So that's what's happening with code. Corey will be there. I think vExperts are going to have a gift bag this year. So if you're going to be there, go register for the on the vexpert.vmware.com app. They released a new feature that allows you to indicate what events you're going to be going to. If you're going to be going to VMworld, or what I guess we should call it VMware Explorer, if you're going to be going to VMware Explorer, go let Corey know by signing up on the vExpert app, letting him know, because as we're building the bags this year, the giveaway bags, if you haven't signed up for the event, you will not be qualified for a gift bag. So make sure you go do that so Corey knows you're going to be there, so we can schedule and allocate the correct budget for things and build the right number of bags, etc. So let's see. Alistair Cook, like as I said, has all the V Brown bag sessions. I guess 40 sessions there. That should be good. And I think that is what I know from VMware Explorer. Other than I will say, people are working really hard inside of VMware to get ready for Explorer. So they are putting a lot of energy in it, and they're actually spending more money this year than normal. So if you get a chance to go, it's not going to be like a pared down event. They're investing all over the place. Because one, it's VMware Explorer this year, and then two, the Broadcom deal, we don't have to announce quarterly earnings, so we're under a little less stress to show profit and loss on every element that we do. So I think they're going to take some dollars and invest in VMware Explorer. So if you're thinking about going, and if you're wondering if it's going to be good or not, we're all in. We're all going to be there. And the event team seems to be all in, making it something interesting and special. So I would make an attempt to come if you can. Might want to mask up. We'll probably do some masking. Hard to know where we are in the pandemic in August, but I know that it is possible to fly and move around a bit. And with that, I think that's it for the news. So I'd like to introduce our guest now, Luciano Patrao. All right, solution architect, lead consultant for Infosys. Luciano, thanks for coming on the show and talking to us about vSphere. We always start with, like, who are you? How long you've been working in IT? What's your career arc look like? How did you get where you are today?
Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you for having me. Well, for IT, I worked like 20 years plus in IT. I worked with VMware since 2005, 6, maybe.
Sure. Would that be vSphere 3?
No, 2.5. That was my first one. And also, I remember that I used Microsoft Exchange cluster on that 2.5. That was a struggle to put that stuff working because the share storage back then was not what it is today. So was some issues. So I remember that. So I started in that, it's 2005, 2006. Before that, I was a Microsoft guy, and then around 2007, I just started doing plus VMware only. So until today. So I've been here in Germany for 10 years. I arrived here to work for Ericsson as a tech lead for virtualization, storage, and backups. I switched company a couple of months ago, Infosys, for a solution architect, and I'm working on a big project so that the migration from 200 is something data centers to 22. So, and the data centers, the new data centers will use VCF, vCloud Foundation, just to make sure that. So now we are building the plans to migrate all the application, etc. So besides that, I'm a blogger since I think 2008, 9. I started blogging when I did a big project in Paris for P2V. It was my first one and my biggest one. When we built a huge P2V plan. And I learned on that. I built the plan for the P2V. I did some scripting, and that was my first time I did it. I did that. And then I thought, well, I need to share this with someone. So that's what I created a blogspot back then. And I created my first blog post about how to P2V from Windows to virtualizing from to VMware. So that was my first one. And I then switched to my own domain in 2016 to Pro Virtual Zone. That's my blog. So that's what I'm doing now. So mostly I write about VMware. That's my most blogs, but also from backups and storage. That's what I blog about.
So a couple things there just to call out provirtualzone.com, provirtualzone.com. So go check that out. And I know that one of your blogs actually trended, so we picked it up and watched the blog, which was just, I think, a blog article that you did where you were having trouble installing things and making it work on Virtual Center, some issue there. But not really a relevant blog here. We want to talk about vSphere and your experiences with vSphere. Mm-hmm. But another thing I want to say is so I know before we started this, we were talking about where you came before you came from Germany, which I think was Portugal, right? So
yep, Portuguese, yes.
Good friend of mine, Paul Perico, lived and still works in the IT organization in Portugal somewhere. I have lost touch with him, but if you're listening, Paul, hey, how's it going? And then Brazilian, very similar to Spanish, but Brazilian came up. I have heard coming to Germany that it is super hard to learn the German language, and then in order to
I don't speak German anyway, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm working in an English environment, so German is not needed.
Okay, so
some words, but nothing special.
Another friend of mine moved into Germany. In order to stay in Germany and get his green card, they require you to learn German now. So he's complaining that he can't pass the German tests, right? To get into to stay and work there. He's on a contract as well. So it's interesting. Anyway, and then my last story about Germany is my grandfather is Danish, Nielsen, but he lived on an island called Bornholm. And Bornholm is halfway in one of the straits between Denmark and Germany. And half the time the Germans would own that island, the other half so anyway, good, nice here. You're in the summertime. Good to see you. Looks bright. It's not dark yet. So thanks for joining us late in the afternoon. Let's talk about vSphere and kind of we talked about talking about a little bit of non-supported CPUs in vSphere 7 and what you've experienced there and what have you had to do in order to run vSphere 7 on non-supported CPUs. What's your story there?
Well, I first need to start to saying that's a solution that should not be done in production. That's my view. So. Okay.
Yeah,
because that's not supported CPU if you have issues, it will be more difficult to open a ticket in VMware and have proper support. That being said, I have done this a lot of times. Even I was in a previous company, we had a department or R&D, so most of the hardware was legacy. So we used a lot of DLG8 and G7. And then when it was 6 for 6.5 was okay, but then we switched to vSphere 7, and then we had some problems to install it because it will not accept the CPU. So there is some technically where we do it because on the boot we can just write a flag saying that allow CPU legacy. So that is the only way to put vSphere to work. But that is just one thing, because if you even need to put that, if you are upgrading, that's different. If you are installing from scratch, then maybe that's what we need to do. But you cannot use the customized ISO from the vendor. In this case, HP or Dell or whatever, because they have these special drivers that will not work on your old hardware. So for that, you need to use the standard ISO from VMware itself. So with that one, it's possible to install from scratch, like I said. But if you are upgrading, then you will get some problems because you have old drivers where some VIBs that will not switch from the previous variant to the new one, and then you'll complain about a lot of stuff that you need to be remove it before you install it. So that's why for that I build a customized ISO. So like I just remove some of the drivers, add some drivers to the ISO, and then I implement it, and then it's possible to do that. I've done that for G7, G8, and some DL's 100 something very old CPU. Was just to try it to if it worked, and it works. So honestly, I only use it that on the HPE. Never use it because most of our hardware was 90% was HPE. So we had to use it on Dell, but it's the same. So the only thing that we need to think about is the CPU. If the CPU is not supported, then we need to see which was the ISO we need to use for the vSphere 7 for this hardware. Just to make sure, another point here. So there was some talks that we need to every time you add the fact allow CPU legacy on the boot, that you need to do that every time. But that's not true because I read some on the community, some people complaining about that. No, because they said after only update 1 it was possible, but then I went to just test this. I test with 0 to just a normal 7.0, 7.1, 2. I test with all, and nothing is needed. So you just need to do that, and the maximum you can do is on the boot. Just save a boot after you install it. The first time you install it, just do a backup of your boot. That's the backup script, and that's it. You reboot it, and that's it. You are using. But like I said, if you are using this for testing and then R&D, whatever is not very important systems, yeah, it's okay to use it. If not, my recommendation, you should not. But I know there's some companies don't have a lot of money for budget for changing the hardware, so this will be difficult for them. Yes, you can use it; it works, but it depends. Of course, everyone knows that not supported hardware is not supported hardware. So. But it works. That's right.
Yeah, we're always wondering what to do with these extra machines when we do upgrade, right? And you do get hardware, and it's nice to be able to get some of the hardware and put vSphere on it, right? Take it home, whatever, and make that work. There's use cases that you just want to have some extra gear around with some extra VMs running. That I get that. So use case there. When you say make ISO, you're talking about making the vSphere ISO, a custom vSphere ISO.
Yeah, custom. Yes. You change, add drivers, remove drivers because. Only you should only do this if the first try you try is it complains about the drivers that are inside of the standard, let's say the standard vSphere ISO. So if the upgrades complains about that, you need to remove some of the drivers or replace by other ones older, so that they're able to work with your old hardware. But like I said, I only see this when upgrading. When installing from scratch, honestly, I've done a lot of them, and then I never seen this. Only when I upgrade from 6.7 to 7. My home lab is G7 and G8. That's my own lab. So I have a lot of. I have around 4 servers with this old hardware, and it works properly. And I have a lot of all of my nested labs are inside. Until today, I don't have any complaints about that. So,
where are you setting legacy mode? Is that in the boot prom?
Yes. When you set it, you need to press E. I think if I remember the Shift E. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think, and then you write it on the shell, on the command line. You write that allow CPU legacy, and then just press enter, and then the installation will accept your CPU. If not,
Oh,
you will
interesting.
have a warning saying that this CPU is not supported.
Yeah, you boot up the ISO, you get a shell, and then you go in and set legacy mode on vSphere. So you
Yeah, yeah.
ISO. Okay, got
Because
it.
you need to, like I said, you need to start the options, the boot options. That's when you boot your ISO.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And so, and then that works, and so far that's worked. And then you've only seen these problems on upgrade where the device drivers, you need to
Yeah, when they're conveyor complaints. Yeah, I like I said, when we have this R&D teams and labs, we have clusters with like 18 servers of this with G8, and all were working with vSAN also. So, like I said, it works. But this was a test environment, like so we're R&D just for development and then all some testing. So, but if companies need to use your old hardware, yeah, it could work.
Yeah.
So,
good thing to know. Good thing to pay attention to. I know a lot of people are still sitting at 6 or 6.5, and so when you get to 7, you're going to have to understand this and know what's happening, right? When you see a G7, what are you referring to?
no, DL, HP DLs, DL360, G7, and DL. Yeah, sorry, because I always use it too. I say G7, G8, so yeah. So another issue we could have, but that's good. Maybe it goes to a second discussion we can have, is regarding using USB keys or SD cards, because a lot of this old stuff still use the SD cards to install the vSphere. So if you have that and you are going to upgrade, then you have the new rule that you should not. It can work again. It works, but you should starting thinking to migrate your SD cards to persistent storage. So like
an SD drive,
SD drive, yeah. So, but that because that's the partitions, so they're completely different. So because we had this huge bug on 2.8, I think. So that was
why did you hear why they stopped supporting SD cards as bootable devices?
Because of the new partition. Because before the architecture of the partition is a little bit different. So the locker, the boot bank, and also logs were different, and now are set in one partition called OS data. So that OS data is a lot of I/O read and write.
Right.
So when you have an SD card or a USB card, and you are using this type of device, then you get problems because it's a lot of writing, a lot of reading, and particularly a lot of writing. And as long as the option, that's recommendation by VMware, if you continue to use or you want to use SD card or USB key, then you need to move this OS data partition to a persistent storage. So because it needs a big space also, and that if you remove that by moving all your locker and all boot bank, everything from the USB key to a persistent storage, then you can use it without big problems. So I think that it worked. That's what I done, because again, it's a lot of money for companies today to change. I give an example from my previous company, 100 servers, and then now we need all of them were using USB SD card, sorry, and now we need to switch everything to SSDs or whatever they need to persistent storage. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for many companies. So you cannot just change like this. So, and in 1-2 years, when the companies start to change the servers to new ones, then the new ones should already be ready with the persistent storage to install the vSphere 7. So, but now there's this option. So this was one when there was this problem in 2A, vSphere 7 update 2A. Of this, when the SD card just stopped working, I wrote a blog about it. That's my #1 blog in 6 months, and I have that blog for years, and not any blog post has so many clicks. This one has 60,000, and that's a big number for my blog just for one post with some months only, because that was a big issue. And then I found a workaround that you were able to get back the ESXi online, and then you can reboot it, and then you fix the problem, because that problem will just freeze the ESXi, and then you are not able to do anything. So even that workaround was supported. Let's say supported when the customers open tickets in VMware, they'll say, "Oh, there is a workaround. Just use this," and then
go read this blog. 60.
Yeah. Well, I have even a very funny story, just a quick one. I had a problem some years ago, and there was a vSphere with the database. I found a workaround, but I opened a ticket, and then it was not possible to fix because it was a bug. They said they will try to fix on the next build, and then they were sent to this to the engineer, and then we were waiting for the reply, and then the support sent me an email saying, "Oh, this is this blog post. There's a workaround. You can use it until we have this fixed." I said, "Yeah, thank you, but that blog post was me that I wrote it, so." So they sent me my own solution to me, but that's okay.
Right. Yeah. So let's just highlight the solution again, because I know we talked and maybe some people that are listening missed it. So what is the steps you have to do in order to make an SD card work in vSphere 7?
So I have a script to do this. So I built a script that automatically move every locker and the logs, system logs, and the book bank, everything to the partition you will use for this. So you need to move this system partition called. You can use locker as a file or as a storage. So you can create a script and just move it from the SD card, and then that's it. Basically, it's not. That's it. It's not so easy, but we're just saying that there's a lot of steps. That's why I have a script. I have in my blog also. If anyone wants to take over, you can just take over and then copy and then use it. So because that will automatically go through all your servers that you have inside of your cluster and see if there is persistent storage or not. If not, it will move automatically all the partition that needs to be running on the proper persistent storage. So.
Right. And it is interesting just to hear like one simple change, right? Like no longer supporting.
Yeah.
You would think that's like something, okay, but like literally guys have thousands of servers that are booting this way these days.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I know I have one, my home lab does that, right? I boot off an SD key and I'm
mine's also.
Right.
So, but what this happened in production, that was a big problem, a really huge problem. So,
yeah,
because there was huge people were screaming, and because the problem was that's why the VMware says now needs to go this in the storage, because the initial option to go to this type of storage and partition OS data because of the new like Tanzu, vSAN, all that etc. That's different architectural that work differently. So that's why now it's not possible to still use the not persistent storage, because the IO will be more, because we'll use, if you're going to use the Tanzu, vSAN, etc. vSAN also, but particularly Tanzu. So that's why VMware had the decision to change the way that partition was rebuilt. So, and this freeze, the problem is that this completely frees the host, just completely freeze. You cannot do anything. You cannot go to a command line, and if you go to command line and your command line is just stop. So you can do a command line, just a command, and then it will just do like this. So the workaround is really easy. I think it's just 3 or 4 commands. One is to stop the service. Second one is to do a rescan of the CSD of the SD device. Then start the service, and then you are able to just do the reboot. because if you do the reboot, the problem is fixed because somehow he's cleaned the cache or whatever he's doing, and then everything is working properly until it happened again. So that's why this is something that is, if you're not using persistent storage now, and I'm pretty sure most of the companies that still have those servers, even the new ones like a year or something, still using, you should do this. You should move all your persistent that you need to be migrated to the persistent storage. Like I said, Locker is one of the most important ones.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that we talked about a little bit before you started was you are a lead consultant on a project with Infosys, and I don't know how much you can tell, and if you can't say anything, that's fine. But they have like 200 plus data centers.
Yeah.
How much work are you guys all on vSphere 7? Have you where are you in the state of migration to vSphere 7? And then I'll talk about Broadcom. Right?
Yeah. Well, the regardless of what they have today, they can have, because most of what I know, because I don't know all the 200 something.
Yeah, of course.
But the ones I know, like maybe 50% are not using VMware. They're just using different type of system operation.
Yes.
Now everything, the main goal of this is not only to reduce the number of data center, because there's too much, of course. Right. I think the number is 225. I'm not 100% sure of the number, but I think it's 225 to reduce to 22. So this is some petabytes of data, and the application. That's the big issue here. That's the big problem here is the applications. Applications is this is already taking too long. It will take more time because of the migration of the applications is something that takes time, and then most of the applications are everything is migrated to VCF, the vCloud Foundation. So, and is using vCloud Foundation in the OpenStack also. So that's and then the two main data center. The number one second, so they are using as high availability. Both are using VCF, so that's the main data centers. The rest, some more minor like locations, but the important ones are in Frankfurt. So that is the huge. It's a huge.
It's interesting.
Project.
It's like, we got into this business doing P to V, right? Physical to virtual. And it's almost like doing D to V, data center to complete virtualization to be able to then, go to 10 to 1 or whatever you said, like 20 from 200 to 22. That's like almost the same 20 to 1 ratio that we used to get when we do P to V, right? So you guys are trying to do that, but it's also like almost scaling to cloud like.
Also there's sorry, I forget to mention, there's an upper scaler also that they're using AWS and Azure also. So some of the VCF also is using on that on those. So not the most critical ones, but some of the applications also are moving to the cloud also.
Right, but it also just like if you build the 22, they're going to be large, right? They're going to be scaled probably, right?
Yeah.
And you're treating it like it's your own private cloud, right? Where you're consolidating data centers, getting everything on vCloud Foundation, and then you can augment that with VMC and AWS or AWS services along the way. So you can see that the data center consolidation. It'll be interesting to see, does that get rid of admins? Like how many admins and IT professionals do you need to run 22 giant ones versus a bunch of other ones? It'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Even the team itself for this migration is huge. Because it's a huge project.
Right. What does Infosys do?
Well, it's a consulting company, basically.
Okay. Just running apps for people, running apps for companies then.
Yeah, I think they are, I think, number 2 in consulting. So they have 100,000 employees, and so basically they're consulting.
what are you hearing about the Broadcom deal? Because you're out in the field.
Well, I wrote a couple of articles about it. I didn't write on my blog. I wrote one of those, or I wrote in LinkedIn. I have some doubts, honestly. Honestly, for me, I still don't understand this deal. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know VMware perspective. That's my view, because I'm only seeing in a VMware perspective. I don't see the gain on VMware on this. Maybe I'm not seeing everything, but that's my. I give you an example. Oracle now bought this health, this huge buyout also. This something, it makes sense because Oracle wants, there's most of their customers are from health and they want to grow in that area, so that makes sense. But VMware with Broadcom, I hope there's coming some good stuff here. I hope,
right?
But
yeah, it could, like this is off the record. Like I don't speak as a VMware employee when I talk about this. I certainly don't have any visibility internally to what's actually happening, right? Because I'm just a director of social media and communities, and I'm a community guy, so I don't get at that. But my take, at the first moment, I was like, okay, I can see there's an exciting part, which is if you listen to Raghu over the last quarter, he was saying that the edge cloud was going to be bigger than all the other clouds combined, that the next generation of computing is going to be done at the edge, right? And okay, that's growing. And he said that VMware's edge business, putting VCF on telephone poles, right? Like for the telecoms, is actually growing faster than ESX did when we originally did P2V, right? Like he's like, that is on fire. So if you look at Broadcom, who is delivering network technology to telcos and to everybody else, then if you really believe that they wanted to capture that business, right, the infrastructure business out on the edge of the cloud, then you could see where maybe they wanted to buy a purchase to, just like we bought Nicira back when the days we wanted to get NSX. We bought it because we wanted to get into that space. Even though we do these other spaces, we wanted to own the SDDN, right? Networking. And so we bought Nicira with that intention, right? They could be buying VMware just for the intention of enabling virtualization out on the edge cloud, right? As a technology. So that's one strategy.
Well, like I said, my previous company was Ericsson, so I know this part because I also was partly involved in on the teams that would certify Ericsson apps and application on telco, on VMware telco, and VCF, and etc. So on that area I know a little bit. So if you see that, honestly, I never thought about that perspective. If we look at that perspective, because I know telco is getting huge, 5G, and then everything is on with this RAN on VMware, on VCF, in VCF telco, and TCA, because TCA was a previous one. But if you see that, yes, maybe it could make sense. But like I said, I will wait for the future to see what they bring in. So
that's one option. I have like three scenarios, right? Scenario one is they actually wanted it to get into the edge infrastructure business, and they are in the infrastructure from a hardware perspective, and they do want to get into infrastructure software, and they have made it clear that they're going to rebrand their whole software stack, CA, Unicenter, Broadcom. No, not Broadcom. Somebody else they bought, security guys.
They bought some time ago, or not?
Yeah, some time ago. They bought
CMTY. They bought
Symantec, right? So Symantec, CA Unicenter, and a handful of others. They're going to fold that under the VMware brand, right? Or there's going to be VMware from Broadcom. That's going to be their whole software offering, right?
That's the thing that I noticed was positive, that because they were not planning to change the name, so they are migrating to the VMware, not VMware was going to migrate to the Broadcom. That is At least that is positive, yeah.
Right.
Because
Right.
honestly, it will not make sense to change VMware name anyway.
Right. So that's scenario number 2 is that they actually just want to get a bigger presence in the software business, and they're buying VMware because of their great brands, and they're going to make it their flagship software brand, which they've made it clear they are going to do that. And then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And they're kind of like, we want to focus on the data center. Like VMware kind of has been for the last couple of years been trying to focus on too many things, right? Because they're trying to do the next act. They're trying. We had what it was our little micro OS that I want to Photon. So we had Photon.
Yeah, Photon. Yeah.
Get into Docker and all the things that are there. Then we kind of acquired, the Kubernetes consulting team, and then created Tanzu. And there's nothing wrong with Tanzu, but then we were trying to do it on its own. Then we embedded in vSphere. That makes a lot more sense. So we've been all over the map trying different things. And so I think that when you come back to Broadcom, they're just like, why try all these other things? There's a great business in vSphere, right? There's a great business in vSphere on telcos. There's a great business on vSphere on clouds. Just refocus everything back to vSphere. And then guess what? You don't have to make quarterly numbers showing that you're growing at 25% a year. You just have to do a great job delivering vSphere to customers, right? So that's my scenario number 2, is that they actually are. Michael Dell just looked and said, why is VMware trying to be everything to everybody, right? Where we're going to try these new markets, and we have like a CTO office that has 500 people dreaming up things that we're trying to do to try to, do that next act and that next act. And I feel like we got kind of big with regards.
Yeah, there is a wide range of products that honestly, some of them should be reduce it or at least sell it.
Right. So, right.
Yeah, that I agree. Yeah.
Right. So if Michael Dell looked at it, he said, okay, there's great value here. And, Broadcom wants to pay us for that great value to the tune of, $65 billion, because they know that if they focus on vSphere, they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to continue to grow it, and they're going to rebrand all the other software, VMware, and that work for them. So that's scenario number 2, which I think could happen. Scenario number 1 was just they wanted to be in the edge business, right? Mm-hmm. And then scenario number 3 is what everybody tends to want to jump on and get hysterical about, which is, oh, this is just where old software goes to die. They're collecting. They're going to lay everybody else off and harvest the cash cow. They're going to triple the prices on vSphere, and they're going
to. That I don't think. That's
yeah, right. So
I think that will be a waste of money. That's my opinion.
Right. Of course. So I think that's scenario number 3 that people are panicking about, especially internal to VMware employees and so forth. And some of the bloggers are just talking about, this is just where old software goes to die. I don't think that's necessarily the case either, right? But that's a scenario number 3, right? I actually think it's probably a combination of 1 and 2. I think they did want to go after the edge, right? So this was a thing. Yeah. And then I think they also saw that there was some consolidation they could do for product lines and focus on vSphere and make it great. And that's what they do. And they'll sell that technology to the Fortune 1000 big giant customers that are using it. And they'll make and then that's it. And they're going to own, just like Dell owned VMware. And before Dell, it was a storage company. EMC. So, and they all own VMware. VMware was independent. It was then the vSphere ESX kept on chunking along, right? The community.
But they were on the same business because EMC was storage, VMware was used storage, Dell is service. So the problem here, if the deal was with NVIDIA, that's something that VMware has a lot of work with NVIDIA to do it. Then I will say, it makes sense. Because they are working together for a long time.
There's definitely a lot of alignment. Like if Google bought us, or even AWS bought us, or any other company that we've done really a lot of work with bought us, it would make sense. I look at it and I go, well, okay, but if any of those other companies did buy us, right, they would get rid of half the people anyway, right?
That's true, because if you're talking about vSphere, then vSphere will be pointless.
Right.
Because
Right.
then Hyper-V
Cloud. Right. They
will
just
be
they would
like
harvest our
going to
customers.
be a second Hyper-V. I don't think that. I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that. So because
So actually having an independent company that didn't have a big software arm, that wasn't a big software footprint in the data center, doesn't own big hyperscaler cloud, this is actually okay for VMware products because they don't have any of this and they need it.
Yeah.
And it's actually okay for some amount of VMware employees because they don't have a lot of this either, right? Like they're a hardware company primarily, right? And they had CA and the security company. So I think it's, yes, they have a reputation of being a very fiscal responsible with dollars. They don't spend a lot of money on stupid stuff. I also think that they will be a good shepherd for the technology, probably invest in the technology and continue it going, offering data center companies, solutions, right? So that's my take.
well, I was reading that also they reduced their R&D to 6% of the previous company they bought it, and also that was reading I think it was 2 months ago they launched um, some study that was doing that the goal for them is to go for the biggest customers, like the 600 biggest customers. That's it goes to what you said, the 1,500. That's going to those kind of companies, and that will be the biggest customer they want to have. But my opinion, they cannot just think about those and leave the base behind, because in VMware, base, or when you say base, it's the small
Right.
companies, and then people like me that would like VMware, work with VMware, and a lot of the expert and all those that does this community and does this what is VMware also, um, will be pointless because only aiming for big and leave the
Well,
small behind.
I can tell you that they did address our partner ecosystem and that they want to invest in our partner ecosystem, so that they've never really had a strong partner ecosystem where VMware 80% of our business comes from the partner ecosystem. But when they say they want to focus on the top 500, well, that's no different than we've always done at VMware, right? We've always focused on the top 1,000 customers or 500 customers, and the partner ecosystem focuses on everybody else. It doesn't mean that we're not doing features or that we're not, building and that we don't want to sell to them. It's just that we've always, inside of corporate, focused on the top 500, right? They're actually just saying it, which is fine. They said that, but that's it. The secret is that's the way it's always been at VMware. And then we have a partner ecosystem that sells 80% of our software stacks, and that's actually good. And they're not going to shut down the partner system. They're like, yeah, that's great. That doesn't cost us money. That the partners spend money, do marketing, sales, and consulting, SE. So I think that's actually, if you look at it, that's not that much different. I think there will be consolidation at VMware because there are a lot of stuff that we goof around on inside of VMware that they'll probably kind of look at and go, look, if this isn't a hardcore product thing, we don't really want to be doing it.
Yeah, then we go to the next topic. If you want to do is like what the future is for vSphere. So, and that goes to your second point that you said about what they plan. You think that maybe they want to do it. If yes, if that's what the goal is, then maybe they are saving vSphere, because if you see what vSphere, if you see vSphere what is doing, like now is Tanzu and everything, and then VCF and all that. So VMware is getting longer and this distance from vSphere. So maybe that if that second option is real what we're going to do, and I hope so.
I think so.
I think
I got with McNeely back in the days of Sun Microsystems and Solaris, and I got with the executive team, and I said, if you look at where you're investing right now, and you look at our sales of Spark servers at the time, 95% of all sales of Spark servers were compiled C applications, right? All the things that Oracle database, everything that we were selling machines for were compiled C applications, right? Do you know where all the money was being invested? In Java, right? And guess what? We weren't selling machines. We were running Java. Yeah, there were some, but like Java was a fun toy, right? And it was good. And Oracle ended up getting Java. But in the end, if they had focused their energy on their customer base using servers for heavy duty workloads that were compiled C apps, they would have been much better off, right? But they didn't.
Yeah.
Went out of business. And I feel like this will be good for vSphere and ESX because Broadcom gets that concept. Invest in money in things that are making you money. Don't invest in things that are speculative that maybe you'll make money 5 years from now because the industry's trending. They're just like, no, we don't need to do all that. Let those people go. We'll spend our time investing in the core business, what we make money on, and what our customers actually really want to run their data center. So, maybe I'm being super optimistic. I think there are these three scenarios I laid out. There's the edge. There is the focus on vSphere, and then there is the no. We're just going to turn a cash cow. Let everybody go. That's the third one. I don't think the third one's right. I think the second and first are a blend, and so I think we'll still be doing vSphere. Now, whether I'll have a job running podcasts and vExperts and all that kind of stuff, it's hard to know where I fall in that. But me and Corey have already talked. We'll keep it running either way, right? Because we believe there will be a vExpert community. There will still be.
Yeah, we'll still. Yeah, we will be still.
So we might have.
We will survive anyway.
Right, we will survive. We might still figure out how to get a paycheck from somewhere, but I'll do the podcast. vExperts will still be there. Corey will still run the vExpert app, and we'll continue. Let's continue moving forward because I don't see any of this going away. Anyway, we're at the top of the hour. Luciano, nice.
Yeah.
I always end. Do you have a Twitter handle?
My Twitter is Luciano_PT, I think.
Luciano_PT. All right.
Yeah, PT is Portugal.
Nice. Love it. All right, and then because we live stream on V Barbecue, if you want to look at what Luciano looks like and his upstairs office, which I kind of am jealous because there's a couch and a TV in the background, pretty nice. You can go to
also
youtube.com/vbarbecue, VBARBECUE. And it is lunchtime here, so go check him out, podcast number 608, and you can see what he looks like. And if you see him at VMware Explorer, Europe or US, you can say hi to him. Final question: do you guys do barbecue in Germany, or do you have? I know Portugal has some great barbecue, right? Like you can never go wrong.
Okay, I can give you a really quick story, just very quick. When I arrived in Germany, the Germans love sausage and those. So we are in Portugal. I use it to some barbecues that we have all kind of meats of barbecues. So we like big chunks of meat to just barbecue.
It's crazy. You can buy these barbecue.
Yeah. So I was my first invited to be in a barbecue in Germany. So I was like super excited, like, oh yeah, barbecue. So I went to the barbecue and when I started looking at the barbecue, like, where is the meat? Because there was only sausages. Skinny, big, yellow, red, all kind of sizes. So everyone like, okay, where is the real meat? No meat. This is all we go. Like, okay, I don't think everyone will do like this, but that was my first experience in the barbecue in Germany.
Well, that's funny because then when you're barbecuing sausage, you really don't do much. You just cook it. All the work, all the special work is in creating the sausage. Like, what do you put inside the sausage? What do you grind up, in order to make that really, really amazing sausage? Right?
Yeah, but they like barbecue because if you go to supermarket, they have all this meats with this special sauce they put on the grill. Yeah. But for us as a Portuguese, we don't do that. We just put some salt, maybe some pepper, and that's it. We don't do this
high quality beef or pork.
And then we don't do this special sauces and this kind of fancy stuff. Just salt and pepper, and that's it. That's more than enough for a barbecue. For a great steak.
All right, we're at the top of the hour. Luciano, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you again for having me.
Attic. Yep. Everybody have a great time. We'll be back again next week, as always, Wednesday, 12 to 1. If you want to say hello, come join us on TalkShoe. Otherwise, we're on, obviously, iTunes and on StreamYard. Thanks a lot, Luciano. Talk to you later.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.